Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday gathering at First Church of Religious Science here in New York City. This is our self-healing class. I want to welcome everyone here on Zoom tonight. This is a large class. After each gathering, we have an opportunity for people to share. You're not obliged to share, but if you have, we get around to as many people as we can. So welcome if this is your first time here. We know, Jimmy and I are aware that many of you are watching us through YouTube now and Facebook, and some of you want to know how you can be on our Zoom program. All you have to do is send us your information, and we will put you on our email list. You'll get a weekly e-letter, usually filled with some spiritual gems, and you'll also get the invitation information. Another way is if you send Jimmy your phone number, he'll send you a text before the broadcast so you can be reminded to tune in. So this is a Louise Hay class. This is a class that I've been facilitating for many, many years. Louise Hay was a student of this particular church here in New York City. She was our most famous student by far. What else can I tell you about her? Most of you probably are here because of her in the book, You Can Heal Your Life. So welcome. We teach pretty much from the book, You Can Heal Your Life, but I draw also deeply from Ernest Holmes, who was Louise Hay's inspiration. She was a student of the science of mind. She was a practitioner. And because we're open at the top, we include many other New Thought authors and ideas to make this a richer experience than just a class. I've been teaching the Louise Hay material since the book first came out. I was one of the facilitators when there was an AIDS pandemic. Somehow or another, I got involved with the book. It's a long story, which I've shared before. And I was attending the class from the very beginning, and one thing led to another, and I started bringing this information into schools, into treatment centers. It became part of a curriculum that in a school system, and we did a lot of work, and there's a lot of healing that was done because of this book. So it's our pleasure to continue on with it. This evening's gathering, our title for our class is You Are Success. And I could do a whole lesson on that, and I will. But it starts out by the fact, just a metaphysical fact, that, there's one power, one energy. And whether you know it or not, you're a part of that power or energy. What we understand in metaphysics, this could be new to you, especially if you're coming out of a traditional faith or, no religion, is we understand that there is one energy permeating all things. And that would mean that energy that's in me, animating me, is also animating you, and it's animating every single person. So you overcame great odds, just being conceived and being born and coming into this world, and you came here with something to do. And we will teach you that you are here to express life, and to express life creatively, abundantly, authentically, and you're here to learn to love yourself and love your life. And I'm getting ahead of myself, but if you stay with this long enough, all of these things will become readily apparent to you. Let me start out by saying you're a success. I can go back to Dr. Seuss before he fell out of favor, where he said, your success is 98.75% guaranteed. Always liked that line. Believe it or not, and in this lesson, I'll explain why I say that. So again, welcome to all of you who are still signing into our self-healing gathering at First Church of Religious Science here in New York. Again, we meet every Thursday at 7 p.m. And this is about the work of Louise Hay and Ernest Holmes and the book, You Can Heal Your Life. On Wednesday night, by the way, Jimmy's doing a very successful creative living series now, and he's joined in by Lady V at least once a month, and there's a lot of great good you can obtain from the Wednesday night segment as well as Sunday morning. One of the lines from Louise Hay's book, which has helped me over the years, and I'm sure it has many of you, is the phrase remembering and forgetting. It's the game that we play. If you're in a place where you are plugged in and you're in tune with spirit, in other words, if you know that you're one with this one, that means you're in a state of remembrance. And if you're connected with Source and you're remembering who you are, then most likely you're centered in gratitude and very little is bothering you. The problem is most of us don't remember long enough. We may meditate and we may get there. We may do affirmative prayer and we may get there. So we're in the business of remembering. Some of you have devices where you give yourself messages every 15 minutes or half hour that will remind you of how great thou art, how great you are, or the truth of who you are, that you're as God created you, that you are one with the one. But most of us don't live with that memory. At least it's not in the forefront of our consciousness. So from one of the songs associated with the early Louise Hay material was a lyric, which is remembering and forgetting. It's the game that we play. So knowing that we forget a lot, even those of us who practice a lot forget. So we want to do whatever we can to be more mindful. And when we're off track, we want to get on track sooner rather than later. I've had many students who've told me over the years, well, I've taken these classes before, and I remember when I was taking the Science of Mind classes, and I remember when I went through the first 2 years of Science of Mind classes, and I remember when I was studying Louise Hay. And that's great because that puts you probably on a path of self-discovery and even got you to a point where something resonated and you're here now. So whatever happened that got you to get back here was important from the outset. But the thing about this teaching is it does require remembering. So all I can say, and I say often, is tune in as often as you can. God knows we meet 3 times a week. This class is every Thursday. Then the Creative Living again is Wednesday and every Sunday morning. Also, you can now watch rebroadcasts of any of these wonderful lessons on Facebook and on YouTube. We have a YouTube live channel, so if you're having one of those days or one of those nights, as I have had in my life, you can tune in 24 hours a day and you can listen. You can also listen to, Louise Hay has herself a few audios that people have been listening to for many years that have helped God knows how many people. The one I like the most is entitled What I Believe in Deep Relaxation. Both of them, I believe, can be purchased either on iTunes or Google Play. But anything we have on our website, our YouTube channel, our live channel, and or Instagram and Facebook are there all the time. And many of these lessons are worth listening to a second, third time. So go there. They're free. You can still donate to the center and support us if you want, but everything we offer is free. So we appreciate your support whenever you're able. So tonight, one of the goals of our self-healing class is to remind people of the truth of their being. And by that I mean you are one with the one. You are what we call an individualization of this God life. Whatever it is, you are. So we remind you of what's real. And what's real is that you are a spiritual being and you're here as you're here as a human being, but you are a spiritual being having a human experience. So this is the truth of you, that you are a spiritual being. You're here to learn and to grow and to evolve. The most important things of life we sometimes forget. So this class is going to be about remembering and learning. Okay, so we have some things we teach here. I want to start with a couple axioms. An axiom's like a law. We have empowering thoughts that are really, they're spiritual axioms. So you can have some tools to succeed in every area of your life. So everybody's ready? I'm sure you're saying yes. Are you ready to transform? Are you longing for more, as the song asks? And of course the answer is yes, and heck yes. So some of you will know the things I'm going to say, and some of you might even, and a lot of you will find the things I'm saying reassuring. There will be a few of you that will find the things that we're talking about shocking. For most people, what they receive here is just soothing as can be. We tell you how wonderful you are and how wonderful you have always been, and that you are a great success. Even if you failed in different things, you still are a great success because you've learned a lot and you're here now and you've survived and you're learning to thrive. And so you are a success. So for most people, this is a healing message. And this class, the very title of the book, You Can Heal Your Life, ought to ring true for many of us because you can. You definitely can heal your life. You can heal any and all areas of your life. And so these words that we talk about heal, and they can be the start of big changes in your life. So how about a spiritual affirmation here? Something that's really true to set the tone. I'm going to give you a couple axioms to consider. If you're new, you might even write them down. But before we start, because we have so many new people here, we got to say again, this is a self-healing class. Okay, self-healing means this is something you do yourself with consciousness, with your own heart, your own words, your own mind. And this is a spiritual gathering, a spiritual development class and gathering. We use different terms here than you might be familiar with. So the idea of God, for example, we don't use it a lot. We do use it some. We use different terms to describe it. We might call it source. Some people call it higher power, especially people affiliated with 12-step programs. So from the get-go, I want to say, use whatever term suits you. Whatever term suits you the best. I believe the information from the self-healing class can be used, from this self-healing class can be useful to just about anybody to help themselves heal their life. So back to our axioms. Axioms are, we want to think of as spiritual laws in this case. One of the things we suggest in this teaching for you to consider is that there is one life, one God, one creative intelligence. Some people call it energy. Think of it, one life, one energy, one source. Some people call it universe. You can call it whatever you want to call. And most all of us know that whatever energy this God is, it's in everyone at the same time. Some people call it universal intelligence. I'm trying to give you all the different words. But whatever it is that's in me and operating through me and you and all the people around us and on the call is an animating thing. It's an energy that animates everything. It's creative intelligence. It's in everything. It's the all in all. In other words, it is an everything, and it's in everyone. People like Deepak Chopra say we live and we move and we have our being in this unitary field of energy, or we live in a unitary field of divine intelligence or love, pure intelligence and love. And I like to imagine myself thinking all over the world, people in every country of every faith. And I know that whatever energy that's in me, whatever I want to call it, I can call it anything, that same energy is in every single person I can imagine. It doesn't have to have a name for me anymore, because I know this healing energy is a part of me. It's part of everybody on this call, and I could never limit it with a name. Over the years, I have let go of the need to call it anything in particular. It was Louise Hay's teacher, Ernest Holmes, who called this creative intelligence, this love of the universe, the thing itself. And when I first heard that in the textbook, I blessed myself. I thought, oh my goodness. Here's the thing. I've been in this teaching for a while, and some of the people on the call, I know you have been also. So we're at a point now in our understanding, some of us, where we know all the people all over the world, are interrelated, we're interconnected. And we're interconnected with this thing that has hundreds of names. It's had more than names than that throughout history. And all of these names are good. Any good metaphysician or truth student will say, God is all that there is. So that's the thing. I don't know why religion is such a problem for people. Whatever God is in me is in you. It's in the people who are living in Pakistan, or people who are living in Sri Lanka, or living in Africa, they're living in Australia, any place. Whatever it is that's inside of any one of us is inside of all of us. And so when we say namaste, it's the part of me that is spiritual recognizes that spirituality, that beauty that's in you. It's beyond religion. It's an energy that permeates all things. It's in nature. It's in me. It's in you. It's in everything. So as we take a metaphysical approach, a new thought approach, everything you look at is God or source. Everything you look at and everyone you look at is an aspect or a part of this divine substance. So we have a little expression, it's corny. There's not a spot where God is not. So you might say, with me, once you understand that everything you see, if I'm looking over in the room and I'm seeing Juan, or I'm seeing Ed, or I'm seeing anybody, or I'm seeing Jimmy, I could be saying to myself, namaste, which would mean that part of me that is of God, that is of source, I see it, I acknowledge it, I recognize it in each and every person. For all of you on the call, I can say namaste, meaning I see that divinity in you. We live and move and we have our being in this source. And our affirmation here and our axiom is there is one source. That source is in me and in everyone and at all the time. There's not a spot where it doesn't exist. So, when we talk about finding God, people have searched through the mountains and they've been on crusades and they've been everywhere. Recently, we did a broadcast on a Wednesday night. People are off to see the story of the Wizard of Oz. And the whole thing with that story, like all stories, when you're on a pilgrimage to find something, in the end, everything you're looking for, you already have within you. So again, I'm going to drive home the point again. There is one energy, one source. That source is in me, operating through me, and it's in everyone. And it's in everyone all the time. So please take that idea in deeply as you can, until you can sense it, until you know that this power, this presence is in us. And I'll say it one more time. There is one source, one energy, and that source is in me and it's in everyone right now and all the time. Internalizing that statement, saying God is in me, as me, it's operating through me. There's one source, one energy in me, and it's in everyone. If you can take that and bring yourself to a point of belief, that statement can take you far, far, far along in your spiritual journey. Louise Hay said, all healing is self-healing. Everything we do is about healing our own consciousness. It's not about healing the world. It's not about healing others. We understand that we live and move and we have our being in a spiritual system, and that we are whole and we are complete. And everything we need is in us, operating through us. Now, you can heal just about anything in your life if you really, really want to. There's an old adage from one of my favorite books which says willingness is the key. You can heal anything. You don't have enough money, you don't have the right job, you're in a relationship that's problematic, you have a low opinion of yourself. You can heal anything if you really want to. So what's holding you back would be the question. Willingness is the key. So do you have the willingness to trade in the lesser idea? Do you have the willingness to trade in the old ideas you're clinging to for the greater ideas and the more expansive ones? No one ever is holding anyone back, really. It's always ourselves. All healing, again, Louise would say, is self-healing. So you can heal it. You can heal anything that appears broken in your life. Relationships, your self-esteem, it might be really low, but you can heal it. Your concepts about yourself, your fears, your limiting ideas that have been around since you were a kid and that have been reinforced throughout your life, you can heal them. And you might say it's not possible, and I'm going to say it's possible. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying it's possible. You can learn to soar or you can learn to soar again. You can learn to soar again even if you have crashed, and even if you have won at the game of life in many ways and you've lost. Maybe you've achieved a great fortune and you've lost. Maybe you've had a wonderful relationship and it's no longer. You can soar again, and you can rise again even if you have crashed. You can prosper now, and you can prosper again. You also can do great good in your life, and it doesn't matter if you are 28 or you're 88. You can do great good in your life. And I'm going to say you can start that process today. It's never too late to start your day over. So even if you've been totally miserable all through the morning, you're free to turn it around. So we always are working with the now. We're never working with yesterday. We're not even working with an hour ago. We're always in the now. Our book from my youth, or when I was a younger man, was from Ram Dass, which was Be Here Now. And that's the recommendation. Always bring yourself out of the story and bring yourself into the present, into a new moment where everything is possible. So be here now. You can start it all over again right here, right now. Misery's optional. Suffering's not God ordained. If you're miserable or you're suffering, that's not of God. That is something that you are allowing to be in your life right now. So you have the power to turn all of that around. You might say, it's too late for me. And I will say, no, it's a fib. You're telling yourself a fib. It's not too late. So we're living in social media, and everybody's watching hashtags and trends and trendsetters, and if you want to trend, if you want to rise, and you can and you will, then you need to start using some spiritual principles and put them to use. We'll invoke from Dr. Seuss, oh, the places you'll go. You will soar as you start to work on loving yourself more. So let's go back to today's empowered thought, today's spiritual axiom. There is one source, and that source is in me. And I want you all to say that for yourself. There is one source, and that source is within me, and it's in everyone else right now. Take that in and breathe that in, that there is one source, and that source is in me. Say it to yourself. And after you acknowledge it, feel it in yourself and say, and it's in everyone else right now too. I don't have to rescue anybody. I don't have to do anything. I simply need to come into the awareness that God is all that there is, and this source is everywhere present. And most of all, to realize it's in me, operating through me right now. Breathe that in, take it in. The next healing thought might be a little bit difficult for some people. Let's give it a try. Let's feel it. The next idea is, there's nothing and no one against me. Say it again. There's nothing and no one against me. All of life is unfolding perfectly. Now you might be thinking, there's some people working against you. You have a list. And you might be able to name a bunch of people who are working against you, but I want you to still say, there's nothing and no one against me. All of life is unfolding perfectly. So take that in, breathe that in. Even people who were in your life who represent a pain in the neck are serving you in some way. I'll say that again. Even the people who really irritate you are serving you in some way, if for no other reason that they're there to teach you a valuable lesson. There will be a day in your life where you probably even want to go up and thank whoever they are. Whoever they are that's in your life that's been causing you distress are there to teach you a valuable lesson. Maybe they're putting you in touch with your own intolerance or your judgmental nature or some other thing that you're needing to get past. Remember, we live and move and we have our existence in good or in God only. So it's in us, and we're learning how to use this power in our classes and our gatherings. So as we work with enlightened ideas, spiritual ideas, we know that these ideas are filled with power, and the more we comprehend this, the more evident it will be to us. By the way, I've said it about 5 times tonight. You possess the power. You got this. I have this. Say to yourself, I got this. I possess the power. Said yet another way, you have been given the gifts of the Creator. People have said in other ways, you're made in the image and likeness of God. I say it in a little bit more updated way. You have been given the gifts of the Creator. I often say humankind has been given a tremendous gift. We're the only species on the planet that has this power. We can dream, we can expand, we can grow, and we can heal in limitless ways. We are one with it. We have infinite power at our disposal. When we're paying attention to our inner knowing and our spirit, we're stimulated to think beyond our present circumstances. We are united with this power. We know we are limitless. Therefore, things open up to us and they expand. We can adapt, we can change, we can become more trusting. We are growing in our faith and we're trusting the process of life to be there for us. And we welcome whatever life brings. We, as Louise Hay would say, trust life. We sense also that we are evolving, all of us, in greater freedom. It is said that we have a certain dominion over life. What we deeply know when we're feeling connected with this spiritual energy is that life goes forward by means of us and our consciousness, our expanded thinking. We are unifying ourselves. And then as we do, there seems to be a great expansion, operating in a different way on a different level. And we're setting a new path, wondering what took us so long. As you do this, your load will be lighter. Some people will get you and really appreciate your growth, and some won't. That doesn't matter to you because you know everything's fine. And you know that everything and everyone is evolving in the perfect time, in the perfect way. There's nothing really to take credit for either, because life is unfolding through you by means of you. There's a lot to appreciate. The trend will be towards a lighter experience, more joy, more happiness, more peace. And you're going to begin to feel it more and more. So here we are. There is Louise Hay and her great inspiration, Ernest Holmes. And she was my inspiration. And because of her, I'm here sharing this lesson with you, what Ernest taught. What they both were excited about. The year is speeding by. It's now in the 2020s. And the challenge is always here to be in a new moment. I'm going to first say something comforting before I say something that might be a little disturbing to some people. The first thing to understand if you're approaching metaphysics is everything is in divine order and everything's okay. Everything is, as we say, everything's operating in the perfect time, perfect space, and all the time. So let's be comforted in knowing the first thing to understand again is everything's all right. And beyond that, everything's perfectly unfolding in the grandest and most magnificent ways. So stop worrying about everything. I used to worry about a lot of things. I came in this teaching, they told me, refuse to be offended. Stop worrying about everything. The universe has my back. My job is to learn to love myself, to change the conversation around. My job is to stop pointing fingers and let people be who they are. So we live, we move, we have our being in this divine substance, and we know everything's in divine order and everything's unfolding and good, and that we can trust it, as Louise would say. There's nothing wrong being wherever you are in consciousness. In fact, it's a spiritual system. So if you see someone acting out and you're doing things that you don't think are appropriate, that's a judgment. You're judging another person being where they are. Our focus again is on ourselves. And we know that people, it's like the American Indian slogan, don't judge them unless you have walked a mile in their moccasins. So live and let live. God knows we made enough mistakes ourselves. And we, as we say, are not mistakes. We're people, we're spiritual beings, and we're here. We've come to earth to learn and to grow and evolve. And that's what we're all doing. So we're comforted in knowing that everyone's unfolding perfectly and everyone's in the perfect place wherever they are on this whole planet. I thought a bit about this section before including it. How many years did it take me to understand the idea of being in a new moment? Let me explain a bit. The idea of being in a new moment That could be a class in and of itself. And after that, people would still have to work on their own consciousness. I remember being in a wonderful class years ago, and one of the most gifted teachers I think I've ever encountered. And she would ask the question, are you able to be in a new moment? And so I guess I'll throw that out to everybody today. Are you able to be in a new moment? And when I say that, think of some person or something or some situation that's got you, just gets you upset, right? Because you haven't been able to let it go. And that great teacher used to ask of our very small, as a spiritual group, are you able to be in a new moment? And that's what we really want to do. We want to be in new moments, because if you are able to be in a new moment, be here now. If you're able to still yourself and be in a new moment, then anything is possible. The problem is most people bring in the history. Note that word, his story or her story. It's impossible to be in a new moment if you're carrying around a lot of that baggage, or the dead wood that Ernest Holmes would describe. So it took me a long time to really understand. We have the ability in a new moment to create a new life. We have a new ability in a new moment to create a new day. We have the ability in a new moment to be still and to know that we are God. So whatever you have to do, whatever your particular method is to stop, I say stop in the name of love, to just stop that train of causation. Healing occurs in new moments. So journal, write, meditate, use affirmations, try any and all of it. There's no right or wrong way. But wherever you can bring yourself to a place and you can say to yourself, I could see peace instead of this. I can see peace instead of this, and create a new moment. Healing occurs in those kind of moments. I've told you the part that's comforting, specifically that life is unfolding in perfection. It's a spiritual system. The more difficult thing to say is most people find it nearly impossible to do it. Most people find it impossible to live that way. Those of you who know me well know I love Emerson. He's perhaps my favorite of all. And he's always talking about the wonder of a free thinker. And people who get involved in this teaching aren't looking to the right or left. I'm not looking to you for my thoughts or my thinking. I'm not looking anywhere else for approval. I'm trusting my inner knowing. And the more you commune with this teaching and live the affirmative life, you begin to commune with this inner resource you have, this inner guidance, you're going to be starting to be united with spirit. You're going to be thinking your own thoughts. So Emerson was always talking about the wonder of a free thinker. And I am, thank God, thank God that we're living in a country where we can be free thinkers. We're not here to follow the crowd. None of us want to be caught up in mass thinking. We're here to think for ourselves. Each and everybody on this call who's truly a New Thought student are originals, original thinkers. Each of you were individualizations of God life. It's Ernest Holmes who would say, you are an individualization of the one life. So yes, we're all part of one another, but each of us are an inlet and outlet of God activity. And as spirit is alive in me, it's alive in you. So let us start to commune with that inner knowing and let that spirit guide our way. Let yourself declutter the learning of the past so you can be in a new moment, so you can begin and ask yourself questions, so you can begin to trust yourself, because the answer always comes to you. It's always within you. You came here into this life to be an original with independent thoughts and ideas, to live courageously with confidence, with a kind of faith or spiritual knowing that doesn't need to seek advice from the world, because you commune with your inner intelligence. Within you lives all intelligence. This type of person is not directed from the outside. This type of person has attained some self-knowledge and trusts him or herself. Louise said it eloquently. I trust the process of life. Life presents everyone with lessons, by the way. Sometimes they are reoccurring, and if you're a fast learner, there could be a quickening. You could align yourself with life, and there'll be a great quickening because you're open and you're really wanting to change. If you're trusting life to such an extent that whatever happens, you're committed to seeing the good or the God in it, then that's what you will see. You will always see the good and the God. Not everyone you know is going to be in this place. Most people are not in this place. They're caught up in what's wrong and what's missing. And we, who are religious scientists and New Thought students, have no need to judge anybody for being where they are, because most of us realize there's a lot of work to be done within us still. Our classes, our gatherings, one and all, are about doing the inner work we do on ourselves. All of our work is inner exploration and an inner journey. Most every time I teach a Louise Hay class, I essentially am presenting Louise Hay and or Ernest Holmes ideas. Some have said, well, you're a purist because I keep bringing it back to principle. Let me say this. If you have resentments and biases or any sense of who and what you think is right or wrong, you might want to re-examine all that, because we absolutely know that everything is God, that we live, move, and we have our being in God. We know it's a spiritual system, and those of us on the call are developing this mystical sense of knowing that all is well. We're trusting life more and more. We're seeing the perfection in people, places, and things. We don't feel the need to jump in and fix everything. We don't have a need to fix people. We know that everybody is supplied and supported. So we're learning to love ourselves. We're learning to accept ourselves. We're learning to approve of ourselves. We're learning to extend the same love that we have to the world and to everyone we know. We're finally understanding that people, even when they're making mistakes, are where they are, and it's okay. Just as we are growing through our mistakes and coming to a higher place of understanding, we trust that everyone else is as well. And you might say, well, what do we do about our anger and our resentments? What do I do with the people I don't speak to anymore, and the people I've blocked on social media, and the people I don't like? And I'll only ask you this one question that a good therapist asked me years ago. Whose problem is it? Well, that's a great question. If we're disturbed about any person, place, or thing, or any fact of our life, we're not going to find too much serenity until we accept whoever it is and whatever it is being exactly the way it's supposed to be. That was told to me 43 years ago in a 12-step program. I was also told absolutely nothing happens in God's world by mistake. And I believe that to be true even now. So resentments, justified or otherwise, and everything like it, and anything that gets in the way, it would be better for us to find a way to let it all go. My generation has a phrase in a song involving returning to the garden. The exceptional experience, the transcendence, the glory is all within you. It's waiting for your discovery. I can promise you that. The healing, everything you could ever want, there's nothing that's ever been denied you. All of us are evolving in light and wonder, and one day I'm sure we will experience this together. We have much to appreciate, and we're happy to share. This class goes on. I have another segment, but we'll save it for another day. So let's join with one another, knowing that we're each a success. All of the things we've been through have brought us to a higher place of understanding. We've made mistakes, but we're not mistakes. I just always have been reminded is, if you look back in your life 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ago, you've learned so much. You are continuing, each of us are continuing to grow and evolve and learn more and be more of ourselves. And we're here to love ourselves, and we're here to extend that love to others and to the world we live in. And so it is for this evening. On the other side of the coin, we always have that very important question, which is, what has it been like being you this week? What has the internal dialogue been? Has it been thumbs up? Are you creating something positive? Or Has your conversation been down? And this isn't a judgment, but if it's been down, what are you doing to turn the conversation around? And so that's it. You will see Jimmy and me, or Jimmy or me on the other side of the break. Thank you.